I retired. I decided that it was time to travel and it was time to relax and do some of the things I had on my bucket list. At the top of my bucket list was to learn to play a blues harmonica and sing the blues. So for 2 years I went to Old Town School of Music, took harmonica and lessons in singing the blues. Sung the blues and did that for a couple of years and had fun doing that. And the blues was always about hard times. I used to wonder why all the blues records I heard, somebody was leaving somebody got shot, somebody died, somebody lost everything they had. And I think it instilled in me that the blues was a significant music to my culture and to my relatives.
You got me run any way you wanna let it roll.
So fast forward, I go to high school and I get this real hip band instructor, and I'm in band as a drum major, and he tells us jazz in the 50s is nothing but blues after you go to school. So suddenly I find out that this music that I've been listening to, that I was laughing at, but somehow I really liked and wondered why it was so sad, he tells me that this is the music you play before you go to school. Once you go to school, you graduate up to jazz. Well, then in the 50s, jazz was very big. I was hearing my first time Miles Davis, Billy Eckstine, Duke Ellington, and all those bands, and I was loving it and buying albums. So it gave a total legitimacy to the blues to me. But in my circles, my young friends didn't listen to the blues much, only the old timers. Fast forward, I picked up some harmonicas, toured with them over the years. And well, the thing about blues is each harmonica is in a key, two keys. And so if you're going to play the blues and keep up, you need at least a collection of 6 or 8 harmonicas. So finally, I found out about Old Town School of Music after I retired. I go and take 2 or 3 courses, buy 10 harmonicas, sit in with blues bands and sing and play harmonica, and it became a hobby of mine. And for the last 30 years, anytime I want to entertain myself, I pull out my harmonicas, throw on some blues, and I go to the blues. So blues is very much a part of my life. I've had the fortunate experience of sitting personally talking to dozens of blues singers, including hanging out with at Buddy Guy's Blues Place and going to blues concerts here in Chicago and enjoying the blues. So blues is a love of mine. On your red dress, baby, we going out tonight. Got me working boss man, working like a dog. I want a little drink of water, but you won't let Jimmy stop. Hey, boss man, can you hear me when I call? Then I decided it was time to go more seriously working on my health, and I bought a recumbent bike and started biking 10 or 15 miles a day. So at that time I had biking, and I've always had a hobby of abstract paintings. So I then rented a portion of a studio and got back to my abstract painting again, and probably from 2000 until 2010 I've produced more than 100 pieces of abstract paintings, probably sold 25 of those and gave away 25 or 50. But for the first time, I learned to relax and have a day of meditation, recreation, and hobbies and travel. That became my way of life. And the summers, I designed them to live on my yacht, 6 months from May until November, put it up in November to be able to travel from November until March, come back, put the yacht in the water, and repeat the same. A few of the places I've been since I've been retired:
have been West Africa, Ghana, Accra, Ghana. 2 different trips there. Spent more than a month in West Africa. Got to research my roots some. Nothing conclusive, but it was one of the landmark experiences of my lifetime. Got to tour. I lived with an African family for a week in a hotel for 2 or 3 of the weeks, but it was one of the greatest trips I've had. Since I've been retired, I've been to Jamaica more than 10 times, Mexico more than 10 times, been to Brazil once, Bahamas several times, St. Thomas Virgin Islands several times, Paris, France 2 times, and a host of other places. Also, after deciding to totally retire, I decided for the first time I wanted to write. I had never really liked to write, but I had one great resource. I was then dating Jelaine Batts, who later became my third wife. I decided.
So you took the plunge again, Cuttie.
Yeah.
She must have been something else.
Oh, she was something else. A very talented woman, 15 years younger than me. Had 2 boys that kind of adopted me as a dad. And when I said to her I wanted to do a book on finance for kids, she agreed that I could dictate the book to her. She took dictations very well and had been my secretary and administrative assistant when I was assistant superintendent in 140 in School District 144. So I did some research for a couple of months and decided my first book would be How to Teach Kids to Manage Money. And I knew a title, How to Teach Kids to Manage Money, was not an exciting and would not bring excitement. So I went to a seminar on how to write a book, how to name a book, and how to sell a book. And the one thing they said was, how to do books are selling better than anything else. Self-help books. Mm-hmm. Secondly, if you got an idea of what your title would, put 5 of your best titles together and give them to 5 of your friends and see which one grabs them. So while I was writing the book, I came up with 5 names, gave them out, and How to Teach Kids to Be Millionaire by far was the most attractive title. So in 2000, with the help of my soon-to-be third wife, Jelaine, I dictated a 100-page How to Teach Kids to Be Millionaires. My son Cuttie the fourth edited it, and I self-published it. I was able to sell more than 20,000 copies, which is considered highly successful if you sell more than 10 copies of a self-published book.
Oh, that was you did very well.
I was fortunate enough to be able to give away, since my sales were so good, 5,000 copies to kids that I thought parents who could never buy it. It is still a book that people call me on now. I still do workshops. For many years, I gave lectures on how to teach your child to manage money and how to accumulate wealth. Managing money and accumulating wealth is one of my strong avocational interests. And my key, people all ask me, what 3 things would you recommend as a result of writing a book on how to teach kids to be millionaires? And I always say the number 1 thing to teach a kid is that there are only 4 things you can do with money. And number 1, the worst thing you can do with money is spend it. Why is it the worst thing you can do with money? People who spend all their money are always broke. Do the math. People who spend 99% of that money are always broke. So the worst thing you can do with money is spend it. People who are real wealthy, who accumulate a lot of wealth, try to spend as little as they can. I know you've heard about cheap and frugal millionaires. That's why they're cheap and frugal. They keep their money. Poor folks spend all their money. One thing you can do with money is spend it. And kids come out of the womb know how to do it. If you don't know, no, you can give a 3-year-old $1. The first thing they say is, "Can I go to the store?" The second thing you can do with money is save it. One of the smartest things you can do with money is save it. Third thing you can do with money is invest it. And the fourth thing you can do with money is give it away. If you know those 4 things and you can execute a plan, even if you make a moderate income of $30,000, $40,000 a year annually, you can teach yourself to keep 25% of it, save it and invest it wisely. In 25 years, you can have $1 million. Even with saving 25% of it. The one reason why I have spent a considerable amount of time researching and writing and teaching about money management is I noticed that in schools, it's the one thing we don't teach about. We'll have a career day and tell a kid what kind of job do you want, but we never teach him what to do with the money when he gets it. So my aim first at writing the book was to put together a booklet that my children and grandchildren could read and comprehend and follow. Secondly, was to put a book that was easy enough to read, that parents could read it, get lessons from it, and teach their kids. I believe that people who accumulate wealth accumulate it because they have a plan. And when you're educated about accumulating wealth, you plan every dollar you get. So if you make as little as $200 a week, and you decide you're not going to spend but $150, and that you're going to save and invest $50 a week, at the end of the year, you're going to have a minimum of $2,400. At the end of 10 years, you're going to have $24,000, and if you had interest on it at the right rate, you'll probably have twice that much. So it's amazing that once you start saving, researching, and educating yourself on saving, investing, how you can accumulate wealth.